Well, park your dump truck full of kitty litter and gather your torpedo-launching penguin army. This is Filmshake. I'm Jordan.
And this is Nick.
And today we're talking about episode 40, Batman Returns.
I'm so excited. And it feels like a million years since the last time we recorded. This episode did kind of take us a while to record compared to when we were originally going to record it, but it hasn't been that long. I don't know if I've just been anticipating covering Batman Returns for so long that it just feels like it's taken forever. Not Batman Forever. That one really sucks.
Batman Returns took Batman Forever.
Yeah.
Ooh, I like it. No, yeah. So, yeah, you're not a fan of the Schumacher Batmans, then it doesn't sound like.
No,
we've got to cover those at some point.
Oh, for sure.
They're so bad. It has to be done.
It has to.
Yes.
No
I think
doubt.
we can agree up top that, yeah, the original first two Bat movies are far and away quite a different species than those Schumacher versions. But yes, all kind of, would you say, in the realm of the camp a bit. If not a bit, then a lot.
It's like if you took the Adam West Batman from back in the day and then you made a golden earring and then dumped glitter all over it, and that was the movie. That's the Schumacher Batman movies right there.
And then for the Tim Burton version, you just had to attach like a dead rat and bat to each earring. I don't know.
The cinematographer for Batman Returns... spoiler alert on how much I watched stuff for Batman Returns to prep for this. I watched like
1,000 hours of special features or something.
I bought an HD 4K Blu-ray player finally on
for this.
This is great. You know what?
That's how dedicated you are.
We've never recorded on a Friday night before. This is a rare occurrence, but it's happening, and I'm just feeling totally off the cuff tonight.
I think it's gonna be zany. This is a zany movie. We're in a zany mood. This is going to be wild.
Right. I'm running a marathon in another state in less than 36 hours, so I've got that in the back of my head.
I just had a vasectomy.
Jordan had a vasectomy just a little over 24 hours ago.
Right. So, I may or may not be on some narcotics. So we'll see what happens.
Yes. And people have suggested this, like, when are you going to do Batman Returns? Not patron requests, but just on social media and stuff. So I know there are people out there who have been waiting for us to do that. And I just want to say you're getting full Filmshake for this episode. I mean,
this is full. Nice and full.
Nice and full. Yeah, man. So spoiler alert as well, I'm going to be talking about depression more. I've slacked off.
Ooh.
I haven't talked much about depression this whole year almost.
You slacker.
Yeah, it's because I've been in the kind of a mid mode. But guess what? I had a great 2.5 month depressive period. It was great, Jordan. Had no emotions.
Ooh,
thought about
nice.
pulling my car into an embankment, and it was perfect. It fit in perfectly with covering Batman Returns.
I mean, lots of shadows, lots of dark lighting, some depressing characters,
Remember 3 minutes ago when I was supposed to seg into something I watched on the extras on the 4K Blu-ray?
Oh, yeah. What happened to that? So, yeah, you watched 18 hours of special features.
Yeah, I told you whenever we're having a personal conversation that whenever I was in the middle of that depressive period, one day I just spent a ton of money just buying a ton of shit. I just impulse bought so much stuff. I think to just try to feel an emotion. And I bought a 4K Blu-ray
oh
player.
shit, I just bought it's way too much stuff.
Yeah. I don't have that money. I don't even know what I paid for it with. I don't know. I might
Right. The blood of my children.
I might not have a kidney anymore.
Yeah.
I got one of those dinged 4K Blu-ray players where it has a minor cosmetic defect. So instead of
nice.
$400, it costs $80, which was awesome. I bought that just to buy the 4K Blu-ray of Batman Returns, which I also bought. I bought a lot of other
Nice.
stuff too that I probably shouldn't have. But anyway.
I no longer have a home. I no longer have a wife, but damn it, I've seen every special feature of Batman Returns.
Yes, and now I'm recording this in the sewer, just like my hero, the Penguin. All of that to say, the cinematographer for Batman Returns said a review at the time tried to negatively say it looks like this film was shot in an inkwell, to which the cinematographer responded, thank you.
Yeah, for real. Hell yeah, I shot it in an inkwell.
So going back 30 minutes ago to where you and I were talking about the Joel Schumacher movies, that's what this is like. It was shot in an inkwell.
And I'm pretty sure that ink was in like the commode of a toilet, which led to the sewer of the penguin.
Yes, while it was being flushed.
Right. Anyways, that's where you get all those Tim Burton swirlies.
That's
you know,
right.
the swirlies. He likes those swirlies.
Speaking of swirlies and flushing something down the toilet. So for our last episode, we did our trivia battle, and Jordan lost, and he usually loses, but I was a real jerk. My questions were very mean. I did not know the answers to them. I didn't even know that the questions could exist until I purposely sought out really, really awful questions about Chekhov from Star Trek. No one knew the answers to those. I guarantee you, if I found Walter Koenig and asked him, hey, you know these movies that you were in?
He wouldn't know the answer.
He wouldn't know. So
right.
your punishment was supposed to be to watch the 1990 Captain America, but I felt so bad I just took the bullet. I said, you know what, I'll
That's
watch it.
right. You were such a jerk that you got punished in the end with watching
right.
this terrible movie. Because, yeah, it's the busy time of the year. You know, I barely squeezed in Batman Returns, and I just could not find the time to watch just one extra movie. I mean, likely excuse, right? So Nick was like, "Oh, I'll do it, man. Well, somebody's got to talk about Captain America. I mean, it needs to be done. Our fans are just waiting avorously. We need this content." So yeah, go ahead, tell us about this movie. I will now never have to watch.
We've all seen videos from this online, right? Of
looks
select
bad.
scenes from this movie. The people are just making it out to be the worst movie ever, right?
But it is the worst movie. Is that what you're about to say?
Well, here's the other thing. So there's been a new thing. I didn't know about film Twitter before we started doing the show. I didn't even really know about podcasts, Jordan. I never listened to podcasts before we started a podcast.
What's a podcast?
I wasn't even sure what they were.
Is that where they beam you up into outer space?
Yeah.
When cast you away in a space pod?
Where there's weeping and gnashing of teeth.
Getting biblical now.
We've been doing the show for years now, and I've been working the Twitters, and what I've come to find out is it doesn't matter how bad something sucks. Eventually, people are going to reevaluate it and really for no good reason say, hey, really, that's actually very good. Hey, it's good.
Hey, it's pretty good, yeah.
Jordan,
Don't talk about that.
There is a sizable contingent of people who now believe this 1990 Captain America, directed by Albert Pyun, which was shot in Yugoslavia, which looks like it had the budget of a pair of Payless earrings. Is there still Payless? Is that still a thing? Was that offensive? I shopped there. I got stuff
go
from
with
there.
it.
But so I can tell you from experience, a pair of earrings at Payless, pretty cheap. But now this
$5 at least, right?
Yeah,
or at most.
Not $3 million, which was the budget for this movie. This movie's not good, but there's a sizable group that has gone back and looked back at this film and said, you know what? It's got a lot of heart. It's not that bad. The main actor in it, he really tried. It's a pretty good movie. What are we doing, people? He
looks like he's wearing cardboard.
We don't have to be nice about everything. We don't have to say that everything is okay. People, again, I've said this before, I feel like everyone is like, well, I might interview this person one day or something, so I don't want to say anything negative about this. I feel no shame in saying 1990s Captain America, it's a crap movie. It's not good.
It's full of crap.
If you watch any 1 minute long clip on YouTube from this movie, you can see this movie sucks. It's not good.
Yeah.
It's bad. Jordan.
Maybe it's just the Marvel people trying to hold on to like, Marvel's so great. Love Marvel. Everything Marvel does is great. This has got to be good, right? I don't know. I haven't seen it. I didn't watch it.
Okay, so Albert Pyun, there's a director's cut of this, and I haven't seen it. And they screened this before the new Captain America movie came out in the early 2000s with old boy in it that everyone likes. But Chris Evans.
Chris Evans.
I'm telling you.
One of the Chris's.
That guy's a douchebag. Everyone's like, he's so nice. Look, that dude, come on, man.
Who Chris Evans?
Would you leave Chris Evans alone in a room with your significant other while you leave to go to the bathroom.
I mean, not if he was wearing a cable knit sweater. No, sirree.
No. Don't do that. You know what, though? I like him as Captain America. He's good. He's good at Captain America. He's fine.
I like Chris Evans. Come on. I like him.
I don't even think we ever got this episode on the rails. We've been off the whole time. All that to say,
Chris Evans, Captain America, going back to the 90s.
Yeah, that's
90s
right.
Captain America. What were you saying? It's a piece of garbage. Moving on, right? Am I right?
Yeah, pretty much.
Now it's time for Batman Returns.
They screened the director's cut of this before some showings of that, and people were like, "Oh, this is great! It's a masterpiece." People just didn't get it back in the day. Look, there is no way in hell that a director's cut can fix the problem this movie has, Jordan. The plot of this movie is that it literally starts in Italy in the 1930s, and this kid's entire family gets murdered, and then they do science experiments on him and torture him, and they turn him into the Red Skull. And then America's like, well, we got to have a Red Skull. We won't torture anyone. We'll just find someone who wants to do it. And they do. And it's Steve Rogers. And he gets turned into a super soldier. And then he goes to fight the Nazis. But it's Italy, not Germany. For no apparent reason, like with the comics, it was Germany. But no, he goes to Italy and fights Red Skull.
Where all the Nazis live.
Yeah, and he gets his butt whipped, and he gets strapped to a rocket, Jordan. And that rocket gets launched toward the White House, Jordan. And there's a kid who's on vacation in Washington, D.C., who's looking at the White House. And by the way, Jordan, the movie tells you when they show the White House, Washington, D.C., United States. Jordan, do you think they only do that the first time they show the White House? Because you'd be wrong, Jordan. They do that every time they show the White House.
Like a subtitle? Subtitle?
Yes.
I mean, maybe that's for the foreign market. I don't know.
Yeah.
Like all these people watching it in Italy, the European cut.
It's for the foreign market where you have whatever Drew Barrymore had in 51st Dates, where you're like, wait, where was that again? Can you please put that on screen again? I don't remember where.
Put that in, 20 more times, please.
Yeah. So there's a kid, and he's there at the White House, and there's a rocket that's been fired by the Italians that they've strapped Captain America to, and right before it hits the White House, the kid sees Captain America strapped to it, and Captain America's like, no, must use my strength to redirect rocket. And he does, and it hits in Alaska, and as it hits in Alaska, the subtitle says, somewhere in Alaska. They don't even, iron out a location in Alaska. Just somewhere. And he gets...
who cares?
He gets frozen there. Get this, Jordan. He gets thawed out. Can you believe it? He gets thawed out, and it's modern times being the early 90s. Snap.
So they do the same thing, yeah.
Yeah.
Ooh, do we get to see some, 90s trash, some 90s goofiness?
Oh, yeah, it's just total 90s garbage, buddy. I mean, I actually enjoyed watching it just for that, just for the 90s trash factor.
Time capsule, yeah. I thought you were going to say he redirected the rocket to hit the kid.
No, get this, Jordan. That kid was so inspired by Captain America, he becomes president, Jordan.
Oh, because anybody standing outside the White House. Man.
The kid at White House, Washington, D.C., United States, he becomes president, Jordan.
How do those things connect, really, though? I saw this guy strapped to this rocket who's really strong, so
we're talking
I'm gonna
about this too much.
run for federal office. Anyway,
just don't even question it. Okay, don't even question it. That's in Albert Pion's world. That's just how things work.
That's how things work. Not in his world, in real life too.
In real life, Red Skull's still alive. He's not red anymore now. He's like Peach Skull. And he has a daughter, and she's evil.
Peach Skull. Really evil sounding villain name right there. Peach Skull.
Peach Skull and his daughter, baby Peach Skull, who's like...
millions of peaches.
Dear God, Jordan, let me finish talking about this.
Okay.
I don't want to talk about this any longer.
All right.
I'd love to just quit on the plot. There's not that much left. Peach Skull, he wants to kill the president... Or take over No, he doesn't want to kill the president because we find out Peach Skull killed MLK. He killed JFK.
Peach Skull.
He killed RFK. He killed them all. He assassinated them, but he regrets
Damn you, Peach Skull.
He turned them into martyrs, and he doesn't want to do that again. He wants to brainwash the current president, the kid from D.C. He wants to brainwash him so he won't become a martyr, and then he can control him. But Captain America stops him. There's a major set piece in a palatial Italian mansion where there's just this piano sitting on this seaside terrace, and there's a major set piece there that looks like it was done by string and wire. This movie's not good. I don't want to talk about it anymore, man. It's not a good movie. You dodged a bullet.
How many stars?
I'll give it a 3 out of 10.
Oof.
It is like a good spirited movie. Like, I mean, that's not the basis that we judge movies by, right? You're like, well, it's not mean spirited, and they really tried.
Yeah, go America.
Yeah.
Is it go America?
Not that much. It definitely is like.
Well, then it's not a good Captain America movie. Let me tell you that right now.
I mean,
bro.
it kind of tries to be.
I need
but
my America in my Captain America movies.
not much of it really takes place in America or feels very American. So I don't know, man. I will say that one reason to watch this is that the mom and dad from A Christmas Story, which is like the best Christmas movie, they're both in this movie. I don't know how Darren McGavin ended up in this.
Is the lingerie lamp there?
No, there is no lingerie lamp. It's not nearly as horny as the main movie we're going to talk about. You know what? Forget it. I'm not even going to talk about that anymore. That movie. That movie is 1992's Batman Returns.
Speaking of rockets, things strapped to rockets. All right, let's talk about Batman Returns.
Yeah, we're at Batman Returns now. Jordan,
okay, I'm trying to follow along.
Batman Returns, buddy. This movie, for me, it means a lot. But what does it mean to you? What was your first viewing of 1992's Batman Returns like?
I don't remember. Like I said, I don't have an explicit memory of this movie other than I watched it at a really young age. And now I'm coming back to it, seeing it in a whole different light, which we will get into. There's a lot there to uncover. But yeah, tell me about your first experience, because I know it's a little bit more detailed.
Yes. So, Jordan, I'm 11 years old. I am near the start of puberty, Jordan. I am off for Christmas vacation. It's 5th grade. And I go to New Orleans, because my cousin Adrian, or maybe his sister, I don't remember which one, was in a play in City Park in New Orleans. So I go to City Park. It's a fun time. And my dad and I go straight from there to Grand Isle, which always factors in heavily to a lot of our episodes, right? I've watched a lot of movies in the 90s in Grand Isle.
Fans of Filmshake one day are going to take, like, mecha journeys to this Grand Isle and be like, I'm standing where the video store once stood, where Nick rented Batman Returns.
Jordan, it's just video store, okay?
Pilgrimage,
Not
that's the word
store.
I'm thinking of. Yeah, that's right. A pilgrimage to Grand Isle. You must take to be a true Filmshake fan.
Man, I tell you what, if you're going to make a pilgrimage there, you got to hurry, because Katrina did a lot of damage, and we kind of built back, but Ida this year pretty much beat the hell out of the island. I don't think it can take another one. So if you're going to go to Grand Isle, do it quick. But I didn't watch Batman Returns there. I went on a trip with my dad. It was pretty fun. We went fishing in the winter a lot when I was a kid. And the last day of the trip, I was sleeping on the couch on that trip, and I had this dream that I was stacking up vases, Jordan, in this dream. So I'm stacking vases, and every time I'm almost to the top of where I need to get to, I cough, and I drop the vase, Jordan, and I knock all the vases down. And I keep doing this again and again, and all of a sudden I wake up to the sound of my dad's voice saying, "Quit all that damn coughing!" And I was like, "What are you talking about?" I was like, "Stop coughing!" And I'm like, "What are you talking about?" And I realized, like, wow, I'm coughing a lot, and I feel like I have a really bad fever. So my dad drives me home. We're going home. We get there. I am in.
Quit all that being sick, damn it.
That's pretty much what he did. That's not my dad's greatest show of empathy. My dad's not the softest, pillowiest guy.
Trying to watch Skyscraper. Be quiet.
Not really an emotional guy, but he did get me back home to my mom, who then took me to the doctor. And it turned out, Jordan, that not only did I have bronchitis, but I had like 105-degree fever. I had like the highest fever like I've ever had in my life, to where like I was starting to like hallucinate. It was pretty insane.
That's when you do your prime movie watching right there.
Yes. So, and enter in Christmas break 1992. So I'm back home. This was Christmas Eve. We're supposed to go to my cousin Joe's house, right, who lives next door, who I've also talked about. But I just can't stop puking, Jordan, so I didn't get over there. I've got a high fever, and I'm puking, and I'm
Quit all that damn puking.
And coughing. It's horrible.
And Nicole's on the TV.
Then the next day is Christmas, right, which I don't remember at all because I was, like, just out. And then Adrian and his family come. All my cousins come and stay at my house for a week. And they bring Hook, which we've covered already. We watched Hook.
Yeah.
All I could do was lay down and watch movies because I'm so ill and like in and out of consciousness. We watched Hook like 70 times. We watched Home Alone 2 in the theater. I saw it 3 times over that break, twice before I caught bronchitis and then once after with Adrian, and Batman Returns. I watched Batman Returns so many times on that break in various states of consciousness with various states of internal temperature on the brink of puberty. Jordan, that movie imprinted itself upon my psyche. Batman Returns melded with my reality, Jordan. I was just in the throes of high fever watching it again and again and again.
That explains all your skin-tight leather suits and whips. That's what it is. That's what it is.
Now you get it. And, I've realized more and more the older I get, the more that I know for some people Christmas is a depressing time, and I think it kind of is for me too. And last Christmas I talked about Titanic and how right after that movie, not because of the movie, I had like the first like major depressive period of my life. But I think really the first kind of like peakings of it, pre-puberty, really occurred here, and they were more situational because I was completely bedridden and in awful shape, but I just kept watching movies. I watched Beauty and the Beast with my sister too, right at the tail end of it a couple times. So throw that movie in there if you want tangentially. It was really Home Alone 2, Hook, and Batman Returns. And I almost want to call that my 1992 Christmas Depression trilogy, to the point that next Christmas, I'm just spoiling it. Home Alone 2, that's my pick. That's what I want to do next year. But we're not talking about that.
Throwing it all back to that one winter.
That's right.
That winter of your discontent.
Yes, that's right. And I got a BB gun for that Christmas, and my dad went back to Grand Isle, Jordan, and I was back home, and I was like, well, if my dad ever comes back and I can ever walk again, we can learn how to shoot this BB gun. And, I got this Sherlock Holmes game for PC, which was really cool. I can remember day for day, like things that happened on that Christmas break just because of everything that was going on.
Let's not do it day for day, Nick. We got to get back to this movie.
Minute for minute, second for second.
Relive your childhood on this podcast.
The McDonald's cups for this, Jordan. I got all of them.
No.
I wish I still had them. The McDonald's collector's cups. I drank...
Oh. Are you going to talk about your shoe size? What shoe size you are?
I drank 28,000 glasses of orange juice from the Catwoman cup over that break.
From the cat? Yes. Was that on purpose?
With my hands on Michelle Pfeiffer's leather, just chugging down orange juice at 11 years old, thinking, man, this woman makes me feel funny. So anyway, Jordan, Batman Returns.
Batman Returns. Well, your dad might abandon you for Grand Isle again, or yelled at you for telling you to stop coughing, but let me guess that your parents never locked you in a cage while they drank martinis and then threw you in the sewer. I mean, maybe they did. Maybe that would explain some other things too.
Jordan, I identify with the 3 major characters in this movie so much. This movie has a core trio of Penguin, Batman, and Catwoman who are all so screwed up. They are so messed up. All 3 are mentally ill. They're all freaks. I love them. They're all my spirit animal, Jordan. All three of them. Hey, the first
The
1989...
cat, the penguin, and the bat.
That's right. The Bat, the Cat, and the Penguin is actually one of the documentaries on the Blu-ray. But I watched that. It was on Fox. I watched that one live on TV. Got me psyched for the movie. But the 1989 Batman Jordan, I think is pretty good. I didn't see it in theaters. My cousin Adrian got it on VHS right after it came out, and he and I watched it a decent amount of times. So I thought this is pretty good, but I didn't go nuts over it like a lot of people who were like shaving bat signals into their fades at the time, back when I was 8 and 9. But this movie, Batman Returns, it's my Batman movie, man. This and, I mean, Dark Knight is amazing, but for me, this is equal to that, and I have a lot of reasons why.
All right. Well... yeah, so you want to just get into the plot by plot here? You
be the concrete base to whatever weird metaphysical shit I'm going to be just constantly spewing, Jordan. What's the plot of this movie? Go ahead.
I don't know how concrete I can be, having a vasectomy and hopped up on possibly narcotics, but we'll see how that goes. Alrighty then. So we will jump into this plot where we open up the movie. And basically, Paul Rubens, a.k.a. Pee Wee Herman, a.k.a. Penguin's dad, and unnamed mother have this child, but he's apparently very violent and vicious and untamed. They have to put him in a cage, and then they drink martinis.
He's freaky looking, Jordan. Don't leave that part out. It's a freaky looking kid.
Well, he's freaky looking, but you don't really see him. They kind of hide him the whole time. And they're ashamed of him, so they throw him in the sewer to be raised by penguins in the sewer. Nick, why are there penguins in the sewer?
Jordan, it's the sewer leads to this abandoned zoo.
To the Arctic world, yes.
The penguins are from the Arctic world at the zoo that were just left.
But we don't know that in the beginning of the movie, so my immediate question was just like, what the hell? Why are there penguins in the sewer? But we find out later, yes, they're part of the zoo, the Arctic world. And then we jump to 33 years later, which made me start thinking, as we watch this movie, wait, does that mean the penguin's only 33 years old? Because this sewer must jack you up pretty bad. Because Danny DeVito as the penguin looks like he's 63 years old. I'm just like, he's pretty messed up looking guy. And maybe that's just because he's part penguin or whatever. I don't know. But yeah, he's only 33. That's pretty weird.
We're almost to the 30th anniversary of this film. That'll be next year. He looks old. Maybe it's birth effects. I don't know. But, yeah, he's down there. We don't immediately flash forward, though, because we get these incredible credits with the camera going through these sewers in this amazing Danny Elfman score, which I think is my favorite non-John Williams film score of any movie after the 80s. It's so good. It's so good. I'm not going to say this is better than like Bernard Herrmann's score for Vertigo, but it definitely takes some notes from Vertigo. It's an amazing score. And all three characters have their own theme and they're intertwined because the characters have similarities. It's amazing. But yes, the opening credit scene, awesome.
And speaking of Danny Elfman and Tim Burton, obviously, I thought at times I heard some little notes here and there that reminded me of what came later with Nightmare Before Christmas with the score, like as if he'd kind of maybe lifted his own material from this to plug in, a few little themes here and there. It wasn't like overt or direct or like exact, but I was like, oh, that kind of reminded me of Nightmare Before Christmas.
There's an extra on the Blu-ray where they interview Danny Elfman at this period. He might have been on drugs. I don't know, man. But he's like just on a genius level. Like the answers that he's giving to the interview questions, like he has like 28 brains going at the same time. So if he did lift from this, that's just because I don't think that his brain could ever peak like it was peaking when he composed this film.
Yeah, he's pretty good.
Give me more plot, baby.
Well, speaking of peaking, man, watching this, I do not have the plot written out plot by plot. So I was depending on you for that a little bit.
Oh, yeah, I can give that to you. I can tell you everything that happens in this movie, Jordan. I've seen it 1,000 times. Well, first you have an introduction to this Gotham City by Alfred walking through it, picking up some Christmas gifts. And in the 1989 film, also directed by Burton, who made both of these movies, Gotham City kind of seems like a real city, right? It kind of seems like a slightly dystopian 80s city. It does have kind of crazy looking skyscrapers, but you have daytime shots of streets that look real. This entire film, it's like it was shot on a soundstage, and I mean that in a positive way. It's just a really surreal city based on fascist architecture.
It's plucked right out of Burton's brain. Like, everything in this movie has his stamp on it for sure, and that is definitely a positive, just having that unique of a vision for this to look just as kind of wild and creepy and gothic as it does.
That's right. Yeah, it's like some gothic snow globe, and that's where you are for 2 straight hours.
That's a good point.
Yes, so we get this introduction, and we see that we've got a big old Christmas tree. We've got a pretty lady in skimpy clothes lighting the Christmas tree, and we've got newspapers that say there have been sightings of a penguin man around the sewers. And sure enough, we see a sewer grate and creepy hands on that sewer grate. This is all our introduction to the modern day Gotham City, which seems to not be run by the mayor, but by a really wealthy man named Christopher Walken. I mean, named Max Schreck.
Oh, and that is Max Schreck is a reference to the original Nosferatu, I believe, right? Yeah.
That is correct, Jordan. It sure is.
Good old Burton influence. I mean, obviously a big influence on this with its kind of slanted angles and dark shadows and everything. But yeah, look, like, how crazy does Christopher Walken look, even just as like a normal businessman? He's got this wild, like, I guess it's a wig. I don't know if it's his actual hair, but it's just this wild white hair that's just kind of sticking up like Albert Einstein almost.
It's beautiful here. It's amazing. And there's, at the very end of the film, the last shot that we see of him where he is totally electrified. His hair, they just take it to another level. Like, if you were enjoying it, this is what it looks like after his skin has been cooked off.
It's pretty great.
He is this businessman who basically is trying to build this power plant that's going to suck power from the city, not actually add power to the city. And he's trying to get it passed, and he's having a lot of problems doing that. And he also has this secretary that, or, executive assistant that he is giving a hard time to.
Yeah, they go back and forth on that. Secretary or executive assistant.
And that is Selena Kyle, played by the amazing Michelle Pfeiffer, and possibly my favorite performance by any actress. I really think her performance here is next level. Watching this as an adult and thinking back to how she made me feel when I was a kid, she's really good, and we can talk about more of that later. He's really not kind to her. But, watching this movie now, you're supposed to feel some sympathy for her. But
for sure.
Watching as a kid, I just thought, like, this poor lady has a rough life, and he's really mean to her. And then, obviously, he's going to push her out of a window later and murder her. But I liked watching it now, especially after years of therapy, like watching Selena's character and seeing, like, she's actually really messed up. It's not just like the world has dealt her a bad hand. Like, we hear, like, her voicemails and, like, her boyfriend's message to her, where it seems like she's got some issues, some codependency issues. She might have borderline personality disorder. She's got a lot of things going on.
Probably so, yeah.
So it's not like she was just like this poor, innocent person that went to the city and the city isn't treating her kindly. I mean, she's got a house. She's got an apartment that's pink, that's full of stuffed animals and dollhouses, and she's in her 30s, so this woman's got some issues.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, the way she acts in front of the businessmen, very timid, very meek, kind of stumbling over her words, and then, of course, anytime someone's out of the room or she's by herself, she's, more beating up on herself and upset about how she didn't perform well, but she's obviously a little bit more vivacious and outspoken, in the comfort of her own company. But, I think we can all relate to that to some degree. I know I can, where it's like you kind of clam up or get shy around maybe strangers or other people, and then when you're by yourself, you can let your freak flag fly, which she does. And then that freak flag does fly.
Do you say, like she does, stupid corn dog? Do you call yourself a stupid corn dog like she calls herself when no
stupid
one's around?
Corn dog. Shouldn't have said that on Filmshake. Damn it. I'm going to tell Nick to cut that out. That's exactly what I say when I listen to our episode.
Well, she goes home, and then come to find out, she needs to go back to the office, and she's left herself a voicemail too. And she does go back to the office, and she doesn't deserve to get pushed out a window and murdered, which is what Max Schreck does to her when he sees that she's been looking through his secret files.
Or does she? Why did her boyfriend leave? She's not calling her mother back. This is a evil woman.
I'm not saying that she deserves the bad stuff that happens to her, but she definitely puts herself in positions to make bad stuff happen to her, or for bad stuff to happen to her, right? Like going to the office and digging through these secret files.
She dug through the secret files. I mean, what else is he gonna do?
Yeah, I mean, he should not murder her. Murder is wrong.
It's Christopher Walken, dude. Like, what else is he gonna do? Of course he's gonna murder you.
Yeah, of course. Why can't you see that coming?
His hair alone is gonna murder you.
Yes. And, like, he's already trying to suck all the city's power away. He's a bad guy. Yeah, but
for sure.
Anyway, he throws her out a window, and she dies for about, 30 seconds, until a bunch of cats run to her over some really freaky music, and they start licking her and biting her. And apparently, like, it's really kind of like, I don't know if you'd say demonic, but it's on a spiritual level. She definitely gets imbued with some kind of cat spirit. I don't know. She's like,
I thought you were
totally
gonna say
herself.
Sexy for a minute there, which I was gonna get worried. Like, kind of into it. Like, these cats licking on me, dude. The worst thing in my world is a cat licking on me. So I don't care if I get thrown out a window. I do not want 20 cats licking on me to bring me back to life. Just leave me dead, please.
That does seem really uncomfortable.
But then again, I mean, if you die, like, maybe this is, like, try it, kids. Like, if you get pushed out a window, all you got to do is find a bunch of stray cats to lick on you.
That's right. Land near some cats.
Right. You just land near a dark alley or, like, a cat lady's house. Either one of those, you'll be all right. And then you'll get brought back to life by the power of cat.
What did you think about that eye flutter that Michelle Pfeiffer does just as, like, her soul re-enters her body, or her soul and something else re-enters her body? That was pretty amazing.
Yeah,
right?
Pretty wicked. Yeah, like you said, on, like, some freaky spiritual levels there. Like, yes, her soul, I think she really did die. Like, Christopher Walken really did push her out of the window. Michelle Pfeiffer really did die, and then they really had to get some cats to lick her, and then her soul really did re-enter her body, and they caught it all on film, because that's how much of a madman Tim Burton is. He's like, we're going to make this happen.
I feel like he'll probably get brought back to life if this happens.
Yeah.
We should be good.
We should be good. We'll try it.
She gets up and goes back to her apartment and totally trashes it. Violently trashes it, not in a way that you would think, like, this movie is going to be a movie that a lot of kids are going to watch. This scene will be perfect for that.
Yeah, everything that's happened so far is perfect for a kid's movie. It just gets better and better from here.
That's right. Let's have her throw stuffed animals in the sink while she's pale white and her eyes have giant raccoon circles on it and her tongue is hanging out of her mouth and she's making an evil devil smile and stabbing at the camera while she's stabbing her stuffed animals down the sink drain and turning on the garbage disposal, and then making a cat outfit out of leather with real claws and bumping out the letters and the fluorescent sign in her apartment that say hello here to where it says hell here, which, what a shot when she stands at the window.
That is pretty cool.
And dude, I'm just going to tell you too. Yeah, it's awesome. Whenever I had that really bad fever and I was watching it, I just really identified with Catwoman in that scene. Honestly.
Hell yeah, I want to break some neon too, man.
Yes, I did. I identified with her the most.
I want to tear up my stuffed animals, throw them down the garbage disposal. Where is Batman in this movie? Like, I want to point that out. Here we are. Like, this has become like the Catwoman movie now. We are definitely focusing on other characters. Like you said, it's a trio. Like, we get into Batman more later, and he's already had his own film, right? But I was just kind of shocked or reminded watching this again, like how little we see Batman in this movie, and then how much we do focus on the Selena Kyle character, which is cool. Like, I like everything Michelle Pfeiffer is doing and all the craziness here. So it's interesting. But I was just a little shocked. Like, oh yeah, we don't see Batman a whole lot in this Batman movie.
It's 13 minutes until he even makes an appearance But Tim Burton said, if you really get this character, the reason I did that is because he doesn't want to be seen. He's someone who lurks in the shadows. So you really want to make his screen time count, and you don't want to overplay him because that's not his nature, which I think is interesting.
Which I think is a good move. I mean, yeah, you could like overdo it where, I mean, Bruce Wayne is kind of like, if he's just playing Bruce Wayne, then, you know, he's not the most interesting guy off the street. So we can go and watch Max Shrek and Catwoman and, you know, all this craziness with the cats licking and stuff. And yeah, that definitely makes for a better opener of a movie than, I don't know, watching Bruce Wayne try and talk businessmen out of sucking the power out of the city or whatever.
Yeah, and dude, that's an interesting point that you made, because there really is, in this movie, I'm not talking about Batman and the comics and everything else, but the Batman of this, there is no Bruce Wayne. Like, for him, I don't think that he even thinks Bruce Wayne exists, because the first shot is of him, and I like the mental illness aspect of this. So watching it now, like, obviously all three of these characters have major issues, and I really, like, since I'm talking about depression earlier, this first shot of Bruce Wayne, he is sitting in a chair. It is the middle of the night. He is not sleeping. His head is turned sideways in his palm, and then the bat signal shines on the wall, and I swear, that shot of him standing up and the camera pulling back to where he's in front of the bat signal is like my favorite shot in a movie, because his head is in his hands, like in the deepest grip of depression, and then he just stands up and his face is just like, thank God, if that bat signal had appeared 5 seconds later, I would have fucking died. Like,
well, I love how he just stands there as the bat signal goes off, and like he just kind of relishes in it, because you think like a superhero is like, oh, somebody's in trouble, let me run and get my bat suit on, but no, he's just like, hell yeah, that's my signal up there, I have something to live for now, I don't have to end it.
It's like a resurrection, dude. Michael Keaton, for me, is always going to be the best Batman, and I've just watched that on repeat as to why, because he really, Bruce Wayne is not doing it for him. The Batman is who he identifies as. That's, like, there's a lot of identity elements to this film with all three characters as well. Heavily for all three. And that's really like the first sign of that for him, is just like, he's like dead as Bruce Wayne and he's resurrected as Batman. That shot's amazing. And the reason that he's brought back is because Penguin's secret crew, the Red Triangle Gang, which is his circus freak friends, are attacking the city, Jordan. And then we get our first major action scene. What'd you think?
What was that again? Remind me, what happened?
Jordan, Batman rides into the city in the Batmobile. Yeah. And then he fights a bunch of circus freaks, Jordan.
Fights people, yeah. Oh, okay. Is that when they're attacking the old mayor and the Max Shrek and the girl with the bikini and the Christmas tree or whatever?
Of course, Jordan. That's like our major set for the film right there, is the town square. Like, everything really centers around that giant set with the Christmas tree and the huge statue of the guy pulling on the lever. Yeah, Jordan.
Like I said, Batman comes in and yeah, I guess like he fights and kicks a few people and does some karate chops, but yeah, it's just again not as memorable as some of the other stuff going on in this movie. So it's like, oh yeah, we got a Batman, he fights some people. Okay, now back to the Penguin and back to the Catwoman. Yeah, so.
Yeah, because I love the action scene. I love how it's shot. And the moment where he shoots the grappling hook at the guy who's holding Selena Kyle hostage.
Oh, yeah, that was pretty
And then the guy says, you missed. And then he pulls on the grappling hook and the concrete comes off and hits the guy in the back of the head. There's a ton of great shots. It's all shot well. But, I see what you're saying, because, we then go to Max Shrek getting kidnapped for a moment by Penguin and getting introduced to Penguin, who wants to come up from the Superman. He just wants to come to the real world. It seems like he just wants to be a normal guy.
That's where he starts, at least. Where he's just like, I want to rise and find out who my parents are, but he's got other plans.
Yes, he does, because
very horny plans.
Yes, and murderous plans.
And murderous horny plans.
Yes, going to the town hall and writing down the names of all the firstborn sons of Gotham. And I love how... Wait, I'm sorry. What is this note that I wrote?
Unlimited poontang? What?
No, I wrote a page-long note on Selena Kyle and borderline personality disorder that has over 8 different sources that I apparently referenced in some kind of manic state that I'm not even going to get into. Forget that.
Yeah, we already talked about that. We don't have to go there. Let's talk about the unlimited poontang that persuades the Penguin into becoming the mayor. Or is that jumping too far ahead?
Oh, man. I just can't believe I wrote this many notes for that. Oh, wow. I don't even know. I tell you what. Yes. So, yeah. So what I really love is that the Penguin comes up, and we could skip ahead a decent amount because the movie moves pretty fast here. The Penguin is on TV, and everyone's like, "Oh, this brave Penguin man." And,
right.
He goes to the town hall. We cut to Wayne Manor, which is Bruce Wayne's isolation. It's his safe space from everyone, his depression hideaway. Bruce Wayne, who is an orphan, right? Whose parents were murdered in front of him. He sees another orphan on TV. It's someone who looks like an animal. I mean, it's someone who is treated like an animal and against their will thrown into a sewer just because of nature and not really because of anything that they did. Bruce Wayne looks at this guy on TV and his first thought is, fuck this guy, I'm going to get him.
Right. He's taking the orphan spotlight here. Who do you take this guy out? Well, yeah, I love that the city is so unbiased and unprejudiced against this hideous-looking Penguin man, this just disgusting Danny DeVito get up. But Batman is like, that dude is fugly. I'm about to kill that guy. He's up to no good.
Yeah, like getting into the identity stuff, I think Bruce Wayne sees himself as this animalistic thing that's apart from and above society, right? The Batman, like that's what his identity should be over the Bruce Wayne he was born as. So it's like he's jealous that the Penguin was already born as like this animalistic outcast, right? He's like, that's not right. And
he's the real deal. I'm just a fake.
Well, that gets explicitly stated later, which I can't wait to quote at the end of the movie.
Oh, yeah.
But of course, Batman the detective has the great hunch, right? He's the great detective because that's what Penguin's doing. He's writing down all the firstborn son's name. Like Batman said, Penguin probably already knew who his parents were this whole time. He just wanted these court records. But again, like Max Schreck comes in, he says, you know what? Like, you could be the mayor. You could be the mayor, and you could help me get my evil plan in to have this power-sucking facility, and everyone's going to love you, right?
You could be the mayor, and there's unlimited poontang. That is what persuades the Penguin. Like, he's, he wants to kill all these people, sure, great. Yeah, he wants revenge because he's throwing the sewer. But then Christopher Walken is like, look, and all the ladies are going to totally disregard your penguin beak nose and your black nasty teeth, and there's just going to be unlimited poontang for you because you're the mayor. So then, like, the next scene, Penguin's becoming the mayor. Oh, I mean, we got to talk about a great scene where he's eating the fish, and Christopher Walken walks him down, like, in his pajamas, like, looking dirty and gross, and all the people are there to, like, sponsor him as mayor, and, like, that's like his campaign team or whatever. And he's just disgustingly eating this fish. That's great. But I'd always remember that scene. Like, that seared in my brain, just how, like, the nasty, like, dark butt crack on that Penguin pajama suit. But I never realized until now, this young lady says, oh, you're a great role model. And he's like, oh, let me put a button on you. He starts putting this button on the lady's boob. And he's like basically just squeezing her boob as he's putting the button on her. And then he walks up the stairs and is like, oh, being a mayor, groping, touching, all this stuff. I'm like, what the hell, dude? What the hell? But then to top it off, to top it off, he goes up the stairs and Catwoman is in his lair, and then he says, "Just the pussy I've been looking for." It's like, what the fuck, dude?
Before that happens, whenever the girls are there and he puts the pin, she says, "You're the coolest role model a young person can have." And he says, "And you are the hottest young person a role model can have."
Right. I was just like, what is this movie? I did not remember this about this movie, man. This movie is so horny. It's so crazy. And this is like a kid's movie when I grew up. It was just like all this was just over my head and, kind of subtly done. But now I'm watching it. I'm like, this is not subtle. This penguin is a corn dog, or a horn, not a corn dog, a horn dog, a horngwin.
A horngwin. He's the
horngwin. He's the horngwin. I was just like, dude, what? What? Okay, and then the whole scene of Catwoman and Penguin forming this plan is just the Penguin like lusting after Catwoman. Like, he's like climbing around the bed and he's like, "Oh yeah, I want you, baby." Like, he's just so into her. It's creepy. And then you got Catwoman like threatening him by trying to eat his bird. So she spits it out because he grabs this cat. I guess it's her cat that came with her. It's just, this whole scene is like bonkers nuts. So at the very end, she starts licking herself, like, maybe I'll take a bath. Like, so she's just like teasing the Penguin. He's getting off on her, like licking herself, and he's just like, oh, on the bed, like all sprawled out, like, I'm ready for you, baby. I was just like, oh my God, what is this movie, dude?
And the reason they're meeting is because she's kind of been a vigilante like Batman around the city, and a very more morally ambiguous way than Batman has. And Batman has stopped her a little bit up to this point. So she tells Penguin that she wants to do something about the fly in their ointment, to which, of course, he says, "Ointments, I got scented and non-scented."
Oh.
I like how scatological a lot of the lines are, too, because when he's posing for the public and he's talking about his father throwing him out, he says, "I was his number one son, and he treated me like number two."
Right. He flushed me down the sewer.
Like he's a turd. Yeah, that was good.
Right.
Also, did you like, I don't know about for you, but really a landmark scene for me where it was like just the ridiculous, gratuitous violence of it, and how did that get into this movie? Of course, where the guy that's supposed to be helping him have a better public image is kind of making fun of him a little bit, and Penguin tells him,
they didn't have many reflective surfaces in the sewer. He's like, yeah, I guess I could have, what did he say? He's like,
he says, "Still could be worse. My nose could be gushing blood."
Yeah. Then he bites off his nose.
On camera, and blood spurts everywhere on camera.
In front of all these people, yeah. Because, like, later he gets taken down by an audio clip that Batman plays, because he's, like, talking about how he's, screwing over the city or whatever. But no, like, nobody noticed that he was a murderous psychopath before then when he bites somebody's nose off.
Yeah, it's amazing. It's amazing. But, dude, let's talk about the filmmaking in the scene where they're up there and all the crazy horny stuff that you were just talking about is happening, where the bird cage and the birds in the cage, and they're looking at each other, Catwoman and Penguin, through the cage, and the camera is circling around them. I mean, Tim Burton, I really feel like was at his peak here with some of the stuff he was doing, because that stuff looks great, man.
He was definitely peaking one way or the other.
Yes.
He was at his climax, we should say.
Yeah, there you go.
All right, now just lick Batman's face one more time. Just lick him right there on the chin, all the way up to the nose.
I can't wait to get to the licking scene, by the way.
Oh, Lord.
I can't wait to get to that. So their plan is basically to frame Batman for kidnapping the Winter Queen in the town, the princess, the Christmas princess, who's the woman who lights the tree. The Penguin kidnaps her and then hits her in the head with the batarang to frame Batman, and then takes her to the top of this building. And Catwoman doesn't realize that he's going to murder this woman, because she doesn't want women to be murdered. She's been rescuing women from attackers in the town. And then the women are like, "Thank you." And she's like, "Stop being a damn idiot." she's not like really nice to the people she's rescuing. She's trying to get them to be stronger people, but she does not want to murder this woman. And sure enough, the Penguin has this woman thrown off the building and Batman framed, and that's not what she wanted, but she did want Batman to be framed. So Batman, now everyone hates him. Everyone loves the Penguin. And then he fights Catwoman again. And Catwoman
Which is
lands...
so unrealistic.
It's such a quick turn, but shut up, Jordan. In this world, in the world of this film is perfect.
And yes, Catwoman is just, super feminist character, in her skin-tight leather with her dominatrix whip.
Which apparently the whip trainer said, she got so good at it, Michelle Pfeiffer did, that she was better than. They're apparently professional bullwhippers, Jordan. And he thought that she was better than most of them by the end of the shooting. Almost all the whip stunts were her.
That was actually her whipping the heads off the mannequins?
Yes, it actually was her, dude. They showed on the extras. Awesome. And doing the jump roping and everything. Insane.
That's great.
Insane.
That's great.
But she and Batman have a little tussle, and she ends up straddling him, and Batman is in love with her. Batman loves her. All their fights end with... But there's a fight. How about this, Jordan? Did you like this part where they're fighting, and then they end up embracing each other?
He's definitely getting off on this fight, and at one point I think she scratches him on the side of the suit, or he gets injured somehow, and she starts sticking her hand under the suit, touching his chest, and you can see on Keaton's face oh yeah, I like that. It's just what?
Yeah, so they're having that scene, and she says, "Who are you? Who's the man behind the bat? Maybe you can help me find the woman behind the cat." And then, dude,
rhyming,
she grabs his private area off camera, but very obviously, and then she says,
"Is it his private area?" I thought she was touching the side of his chest or something.
No, dude, her other hand is on his crotch, and she says, "There you are."
Oh, that's right. Because see, I just assumed I thought she was touching the part where he was cut on his suit on the side, but. Yeah, I guess she goes down further than that.
But that's not the last time it happens in the movie either. It happens again later. And
it all happens off camera. So, if you're a kid, you don't know what's going on. Apparently, I'm still partly a kid because I didn't know that she was grabbing his crotch. But, yeah, there you are. And then what does she say?
Well, then later when she's straddling him, and she licks his face is I really like this.
Right. Just keep doing that.
Do whatever you want.
Right. Yeah, because he's not fighting to get her off of him. If your villain is on top of you that you're trying to, take into the police or capture or whatever, you don't just lay down and let them lick you like he does. So, yeah, he's definitely enjoying it to some degree. To many degrees, I'm sure.
This is what he's into, man. Through the whole movie, and I love the two of them together. I feel like Pfeiffer and Keaton's chemistry is insane. And while they're fighting, outside of that, Bruce Wayne and Selena Kyle, because she's come back not only as Catwoman, but as a much feistier version of herself in her regular life, where she's still Max Schreck's assistant, much to his surprise when she comes back to work the day after he's murdered her. But the two of them keep running into each other, and they end up having a date at Wayne Manor. But their chemistry, I just think, is phenomenal. I wanted these two crazy kids to get together so badly. They are perfect for one another. I think their chemistry is amazing, honestly. I remember getting lost in their relationship when I was 11, and watching it now, I'm turning 40 in 6 days. I still feel the same way, Jordan. I still love the two of them.
Don't you love the scene at Wayne Manor where they're just all over each other, but then they realize they've got these kind of telltale signs. She's got the napalm scar on her shoulder and he's got the scratch on his side. So they're both kind of trying to cover that up from each other, hide that. But yeah, and then in the end it's oh, we just want this too bad. We've got to break this off. We got to move on. Otherwise, these kind of scars or these secrets might be laid bare, So it's them wrestling again with their identities and, trying to keep parts of themselves covered, metaphorically and figuratively. But yeah, just love their chemistry. Yeah, I think Keaton is always going to be my Batman, and Michelle Pfeiffer, yeah, classic, always going to be the Catwoman.
What I think is really great about this too is there are so many layers to this movie and so much going on, but it never feels like it's like losing track of itself or everything's getting muddled. When you especially compare it to the ridiculous Schumacher ones where it's like just total messes.
Yeah.
You know, where I really in this way this movie ruined the rest of that series of Batman movies because they're like, well, we had 2 villains before, we got to at least have 2 now, and we got to bring
3
Robin
or 4.
in.
Yeah. Right.
So it just gets ridiculous. But here you just have so much going on. You have their romance as their, what I would say their alter egos are, Bruce Wayne and Selena Kyle, because I think they're really Catwoman and Batman. Then you've got their relationship as that. Then you've got Penguin's relationship with Max Schreck. You've got Penguin's relationship with Catwoman. You've got Penguin's relationship with Batman. And then you've really got Batman, Catwoman, and Batman's relationship together. Those are intertwined. There's so much stuff going on. There's all the sexual stuff you're talking about. There's some class stuff going on in there too. There's identity stuff. This movie, to me, has incredible depth. It is ridiculous. This is a ridiculous film. And I remember watching it in between when I was 11 and right now and trying to hold it up to like a logical, like real world lens. And it doesn't work that way. It does not work that way because this is supposed to be like this really dark fairy tale. Like I said, it's like this snow globe world that this is taking place in that is totally cohesive in and of itself. But you can't watch this like you're watching Black Hawk Down. It does not take place in the real world. It takes place in this Gotham City of Tim Burton's imaginings. On that, this movie for me is a masterpiece. I'm just going to tell you right now, this is my favorite movie of everything we've covered. This is in my 90s top 10. I love this movie. This is a 10 for me, Jordan. I'm blowing my score right now.
Blowing your score. Blowing your load, so man.
Yeah, to follow the train of thought of this movie, yes.
Yeah, I agree that it's probably the last Batman movie that really does, at least in the 90s, like you said. I mean, we could talk about Dark Knight and Dark Knight Rises and all that, but yeah, out of all these, big budget, like overstuffed superhero movies, I feel like it does a good job of balancing all the different characters and their relationships and not having too much going on, but just enough. Because it's definitely packed. It's got a lot going on, but I feel like it does manage all that really well. And just at the tipping point where it's like ridiculous because it is what it is, but it's like not too ridiculous. Like there's definitely a lot of campy stuff going on and some just off the wall crazy crap. But like you said, because we're in this snow globe reality, it all does really work. And after this, yeah, like 2 villains in a film, great, sure. But then you get into some of those other Batman movies and, later on with like the different Spider-Man movies where you got like 3 or 4 villains going on. It's like, come on, guys. Bigger is not always better. This is just a perfect balance of having just enough craziness going on. But I think any bit more, it would just kind of derail.
Yeah, man, I agree. It's like just right there. This is as far as you could go. And it goes right there to the brink. It's crazy. A lot of people are huge fans of this movie, and then I think a lot of people probably haven't watched it since the 90s and probably just remember it as being ridiculous, but I don't know.
Right.
I was making fun of Captain America from 1990 saying, how could you reassess that and be like, oh, actually, that's really good. When it objectively sucks, but I really think this is a movie that should be rife for more exploration. I mean, a lot of people are fans of this. I mean, a lot of people have art prints from this movie on their walls. This is not like a sleeper hit, but I do think like a deeper analysis of this movie should definitely be done.
That's why we're here, Nick. I mean, that's what Filmshake does, right? Just deep, solid analysis. Oh yeah, what about that semi-hard line? Wow.
Oh, we're almost there too. We're almost there. Hold that thought. Okay.
Well, no, I wanted to say one of my favorite lines and like serious lines or just well-written lines was when, the Penguin is basically gone off the rails and, he's kind of versus Catwoman at this point. She's trying to go after him. and he sends her up into the sky on the umbrella, and he says, "Goodbye, my unintended. Go to heaven." I thought that was a great line. Sounds very literary, and I don't know, it's just well written. I really enjoyed that. Goodbye, my unintended.
Yeah, Danny DeVito as the Penguin does a great job with those kind of lines, to where he's like very highly intelligent person who could be very mannered, but at the same time, he's also kind of this feral outcast creature that's just full of hatred.
Right, which he's lived in the sewer for 33 years, but somehow he's got a Shakespearean level of language going on.
Well, they do say whenever Bruce Wayne is looking up the history, he finds out that he hasn't been in the sewer this whole time. He's been traveling with all that circus gang that's under his command. He actually traveled with them, and you find out through some background stuff in the movie that apparently he was like murdering people as they were traveling around the country. Like, people kept disappearing around their shows. So he's always been a psychopath, the sociopathic character.
He just goes back to the Arctic world sewer. Just, back to his roots, I guess.
But that explains why he's like well read, and he has some culture in him, because he's been around the country. So yeah, love that. Though again, like, I really think my soft spot here, which I've been saying that phrase a lot, and like you said, we're gonna get to the semi-hardliner in a minute, but I just love Batman and Catwoman's relationship. I love whenever Selina Kyle is looking through the window talking to herself, saying, "Why are you doing this?" Because she's kind of like splitting down the middle with who she is. And then Bruce Wayne comes up and he's like, "Are you okay?" And she says, "I was scaring myself, actually." And he's like, "I don't see how. You all right? You look like you have the holiday blues or something," which again, the depression underlying thing there that I've been talking about in the movie. He asks about them going to the ball, and he says, "I wouldn't be caught dead there," which I was like, man, that's really morose, Bruce. And she said, "It's going to be a hot time in the cold town tonight." I like that. And then he says, "You got a dark side, don't you?" And then she says, "No darker than yours, Bruce." And I love where he's like, "Ooh. Yep, she gets me. This is it."
Right, because how does she know he has a dark side? You know what I mean? Like,
she just knows it.
She just doesn't really. She's barely interacted with him, but yeah, somehow they've just connected on this deeper level, I guess.
Well, I think deep down too, they know who each other really is, so they've interacted as Batman and Catwoman. So it's like she just knows it. They just know it
on a psychic, subconscious level, I guess.
Yeah, like she says, it's the so-called normal guys who always let you down. The sickos never scare me. At least they're committed, right? How committed is Batman?
Which I love that he refers to his darker side as like, if you find out about me, like I'm some sort of Ted Bundy kind of guy. Like he basically compares his Batman persona to a serial killer who eats people.
And he talks about Kim Basinger from the last movie. It's Vicky, who is very, very, very like normal, pretty like even-keeled person, really boring compared to the characters in this movie. Nothing against Kim Basinger. I think she's great in the first Batman, but I totally
forgot about Kim Basinger.
Just comparatively.
I was like, who is Vicky? Who was that again?
But Selina asks what happened to her, and he says the truth frightened her. There are two truths, and she had trouble reconciling them because I had trouble reconciling them. Which is like deep, because he's just having these identity issues again. He's like, I'm Batman. I'm not Bruce Wayne. Batman is who I am.
Yeah, he's pretty overt with like, I am Batman. I am Bruce Wayne. I have identity issues, Selina Kyle / Catwoman. Like, as if we didn't know who each other are. Well, she survives the attack from Penguin, and then we move on to, Penguin takes control of the Batmobile, tries to take out Batman, but he records some audio from the Penguin while he's in the Batmobile being controlled by the Penguin. Ends up having to flee, but then Batman uses the audio of Penguin. What does he say? Like, I've been screwing this city all the way to the...
I've played this stinking city like a harp from hell.
Oh yeah, played this stinking city like a harp from hell. So Batman uses that against him when he's at like some rally doing a campaign speech. He plays that audio clip as if the Penguin is saying it right then and there, and then he gets booed. I like how everybody just happens to have tomatoes and lettuce while they're at this rally. Like, all of a sudden they're just throwing like a freaking kitchen sink at this dude,
which he comments upon too.
Which is just really off the wall. But he's shamed back into the sewer, which I thought was great. And then, we move on to the Christmas party scene in the semi-hard line.
I also love whenever he sends Catwoman into the sky and then she falls through the greenhouse and then she screams and shatters all the windows.
That was pretty cool.
It's so amazing. Plus, she has 9 lives and she's lost one there. So again, it's almost like on a spiritual level, that's like the force of that is shattering this greenhouse, which I thought was pretty amazing. But
it's pretty unexpected too, like that moment where she, again, she's not really a hero. She's not quite a villain. She's she's like semi-villain. But yeah, you see that kind of moment of weakness too, where she's thrown in the greenhouse and she doesn't just kind of like get up and like brush herself off. She screams because that's part of like her psychosis coming out, I guess.
Yeah, it's amazing and strangely cathartic, and I love it. And then we get this costume ball. It's the Christmas Eve costume ball that all the adults in Gotham, which I love how like Gotham is supposed to be home to millions of people, but it really feels like about 200 people live there, right? Like it feels like the biggest small town on earth.
Yeah.
There's a costume ball, and just again, like I just love this movie, man. Like some of my favorite character entrances. So everyone's dressed up. It's a costume ball. Bruce Wayne walks in. What's he dressed as? What's its costume? It's Bruce Wayne. That's it. He just comes in wearing Bruce Wayne clothes as Bruce Wayne because that's not who he really is. That's his costume.
Right. Batman dressed up like a trust fund kid. Yeah.
That's right. And that's Max Schreck tells him. And then who comes down the stairs also just dressed as a normal person, as Selena Kyle, because really she's Catwoman. Selena Kyle is just her disguise in a beautiful blue dress looking just like hypnotic to me. That was when I was 11. I was like, what's happening right now?
I feel funny in my underpants.
And she comes down the stairs.
Well, yeah, they're like, I dress up all the time. I'm always in costume. I'm taking a break tonight.
Yeah, they don't say that. They don't say that, right?
No, they don't. No,
you're just making up that line.
I'm just making that up, but that's what they're doing. They're like, oh, yeah, costume party, whatever. Just be myself.
Yeah. Well, no, it's not themselves, Jordan. Damn it, you're missing the symbolism.
I know. No, I know.
You're totally ruining it.
Because he's really Batman, so he's dressed up as Bruce Wayne. That's his costume.
Yeah, exactly, Jordan. Exactly. Yeah. That's it. And she's dressed up as Selena Kyle because that's her costume. And then their chemistry is amazing when they see each other. It's like lightning striking across the room. And then, dude, the Batman, the McDonald's cup of this scene is so
Back
good.
To the McDonald's cup of this scene. It was on this scene.
But the lighting and the cinematography are ridiculous, in my opinion. This scene looks so beautiful as they're dancing. And then we get to her line because, they both ducked out on each other at their date. And Bruce says, "No hard feelings." And what does she say back?
Semi-hard.
She says, actually, semi-hard, I'd say, because their crotches are pressed against one another.
As Tigger would say, hoo-hoo-hoo. That's what Bruce really wants to say.
She says, I know where there's a bed where we can go have sex now. He says, we take off our costumes. That's what he says. And then she says, guess I'm tired of wearing masks. And honestly, like, what I thought was, like, they're going to put their costumes on, their Batman and Catwoman costumes, and have sex in those. That's what I kind of took from that.
Right. Well, I just thought this is again, an innuendo. Let's take off our costumes. But that really means let's go get naked and do it.
But then we see she actually has a gun, and she's actually not at this ball to have sex with Batman. She's at this ball because she's going to shoot Max Schreck with this gun, to which he says, who the hell do you think you are? And she says, I don't even know anymore, Bruce. And her eyes start watering, and she's amazing. Michelle Pfeiffer's amazing. Her acting is insane. It's so good. And then she looks up and sees mistletoe, and there's a callback to a line that they said to each other whenever they were dressed up in their Batman and Catwoman costumes, where he says, mistletoe can be deadly if you eat it. And then she says, a kiss can be even deadlier if you mean it. They say this line back to each other and then realize, oh no, you're who I've been fighting this whole movie. You're Batman and I'm Catwoman. And
does this mean we have to start fighting? I love that scene. I love where they realize who each other is, and yeah, you can just see it on their faces, and they don't say it out loud, but you get the sense that this is what's happening. She says, does this mean we have to start fighting? So yeah, I love how they kind of underplay that, but it has a lot of impact and a lot of emotion in that moment. And then you get an explosion.
I know you hate like really explicitly laid out stuff there that it's like down and they don't do that.
You're Batman. Oh, you're Catwoman. Meow. Explosion. Penguin.
If this
sex.
was Schumacher, that would have happened. I'm just telling you. But dude, yeah, again, another thing I love about this movie, she says, does this mean we have to start fighting? But what does she do? She pulls him closer to her when she realizes the truth. She doesn't push him away. It's like they become one even more.
Because she's sexually attracted to Batman.
Yes,
like,
but they're connected, Jordan. They're the same.
Right. They get
Split
the whole
down
package.
the center. Split down the center.
She
as
gets the
Batman
whole
later
package,
says.
if you get my drift.
Oh, dear God.
Bruce Wayne and Batman. Bada bing.
Yes. The whole package, Jordan. oh, man.
The semi-hard package.
Then Penguin comes in. And he kidnaps Max Schreck. He says he's kidnapping all the firstborn children of all the people at the party, and he's gonna
not
kill
my
them.
boy, not
Yes.
Chip, my boy.
That's right. So Christopher Walken gives himself up so that Chip, the only person he really cares about, can live. Chip being like a fully grown adult.
Right. I love how Chip is the only fully grown firstborn son that he's gonna take. Like the rest are just all like little kids, but Chip is basically has the mind of an adolescent. So, but yeah, it's interesting, this relationship between Chip and Christopher Walken, where he's like, "Take me instead."
The kids are meanwhile being kidnapped onto this train, and it's like a funny little circus train, right? That they're throwing all the kids to.
Yeah.
And these kids are going to get thrown into the sewage that Max Schreck has created, like this toxic waste that's in the sewer from his power plants that he already has, that the kids are going to drown in.
I love the train. I love the train prop and the organ grinder who's driving the train, who previously, like when that was in the action scene at the beginning. That's one thing I remember, where he shows up with the monkey on his shoulder and he's got the little organ grinder thing, but then it turns into like a Gatling gun. I thought the organ grinder was super creepy and cool, and yeah, he's driving the train here.
That's Vincent Schiavelli. He's got an iconic Carney look, which he also played a Carney in the X-Files episode Humbug from the second season X-Files, which is one of the best episodes of that show. And he was in Buffy as Uncle Inyos, Jordan. Uncle Inyos. Yes,
okay.
But this is where I say, I also played every 16-bit adaptation of Batman Returns specifically to prep for this episode of Filmshake, Jordan. So
Do they include the organ grinder?
Yes, they do. So the Sega Genesis and Sega CD versions, I think, are kind of lousy, and I'll have a written review of all three of them, like a head-to-head, put up maybe by the time that this episode is released. But the Super
on
Nintendo
your blog?
one, yes, on an experiment. But
Yep.
the Super Nintendo adaptation is badass. It's just like a fighter, kind of like Streets of Rage, except with Batman.
Yeah.
And you
sweet.
fight the organ grinder at he's one of the
nice.
bosses with his
That's
machine
awesome.
gun. It's so
that's
fun.
awesome.
And then they
That
have the
sounds cool.
train. But of course, like this being a video
sweet.
game, instead of it just being like, like a 6-foot tall train, it's like a full train, like just speeding through Gotham City, right? That's like a giant.
in the
like,
video
freight
game?
train. Yes.
Oh,
just
man.
to make it more epic, which I thought was funny.
You just gave me a super nostalgic 90s boost, where all I want to do now is go play ROMs of Batman video games.
So Batman Returns for SNES, great game. I mean, well, not great, very good game. It's a very good game. It's a lot of fun. It's really good. Now we get to the climax of the film, a word we've said a lot in this episode. It's
or alluded to, this
Yeah.
movie alludes to things happening. Okay.
And I absolutely love how the Penguin, he's just enraged that his plans haven't worked. And he said whenever he was running for mayor, someone calls him Penguin, one of his henchmen. He says, "I'm not Penguin, Oswald Cobblepot," which was
Right.
his name. And then now, again, getting into the identity stuff with this movie, someone says, one of his henchmen calls him Oswald, and he says, "It's Penguin. I am not a human being. I'm an animal. Cold-blooded."
I'm an animal. Yeah, that's a great moment.
Yes, and check the symbolism here. That again, I only noticed watching this, the week before I'm turning 40 in real life. Whenever he is a baby, right, he's thrown off this bridge in the park into the sewer. He was Oswald Copperpot. God dog it, did I just say Copperpot? You know what his name was.
Yeah.
Cobblepot. And he was thrown off this bridge, right? And then that's how he becomes the Penguin. He goes here and he's taken in by these penguins and by these circus freaks. And he becomes Penguin, right? But then he comes back to Earth and he's Oswald. It is Cobblepot, right?
Yeah. Or is it Copperpot? I don't know. I think it's Cobblepot.
Yeah, I'm thinking Chester Copperpot from the Goonies. He's Oswald Cobblepot, and he's there on Earth for a little while as that, and he's going to be mayor, but guess what? He gets rejected again. He gets rejected by the Overdwellers again, and what does he do? But he gets chased to that same park, to that same exact bridge that he was thrown off of, and this time he jumps in himself back to the sewer, where he transforms again into Penguin, who he identifies as this film ends, as we get to the climax, which I thought was incredibly deep.
That is pretty cool. And I think he also maybe identifies with General Patton a little bit, because you have him dressing this penguin army that he's loaded up with torpedoes, and he's like a freaking, good old General Patton, like George C. Scott in front of the American flag style direction here, where he's addressing this sea of penguins. And I just thought that was really cool, like, and just kind of, again, off the wall crazy. Like, okay, I'm gonna throw in another reference here, but yeah, he has these penguins just come up out of the sewer. He's luring them all to, I guess, was it the town square where he's luring them, and he's just gonna blow up everything and kill. He's like, oh well, they stole my plan for me of killing the firstborn sons. Why don't we just kill everybody? So.
Yes, I love how it escalates, where he goes from wanting to kill all the firstborn sons to just Batman foils his plan, and he's like, well, I'll just kill everyone then. But then Batman foils that plan too. Dadgummit. Come on, Batman. Just let him kill everybody.
And talking about the shot earlier through the cage with the bird in the cage, now we've got Christopher Walken in this giant cage hanging over the ooze, from all the biohazard products that he's dumped into the sewers. And so Penguin's plan there was he's gonna bring all the children down to the sewer and then drown them in the muck of this green ooze, and then he's gonna drown Christopher Walken. That's his plan.
That's right. Christopher Walken's gonna go in with the kiddos, but that gets foiled. And then we get to what I think is the Codex moment of this entire film, Jordan. Not Kodak moment. Codex, C-O-D-E-X.
The Codex.
Because Batman foils the plans, and then, Penguin's got this ridiculous rubber ducky truck that he's trying to drive and escape in. And I love the scene where Batman's approaching. Yes. Batman's approaching in his whatever you want to call it, because it's in the sewer
Bat
now.
boat.
Yeah, it's like the Batwing / Bat boat. And he's coming down there, and I love how Penguin's crew ducks out at him right there at the end, which I always thought was really haunting, the shots of them leaving him. Like, there's the woman in the booth who just backs up into darkness, which I thought is just like, he's totally abandoned now. It's just him and his penguins. And he comes up out of the sewer on his little penguin-mobile, and then Batman crashes right into them. Both their vehicles are destroyed, right?
Yes. I love how Batman is going through, like, the sewage tunnel or whatever, and he's like, I guess he hears Oswald trying to get away, or the Penguin trying to get away. So he's like, I'll just take a left turn here. He comes out of the tunnel and just like immediately slams down, crashes on top of the duck truck, or whatever you want to call it. The duck truck.
Yes, the duck truck in this amazing abandoned zoo set. And then there's a little tussle between Penguin and Batman, and then Penguin says the Codex line for the entire movie. He says, "You're just jealous because I'm a genuine freak and you have to wear a mask." And then Batman says, "You might be right."
Ah, yes.
It's so good. And I've been talking about that this whole episode, so I'm not going to extrapolate that more. It is what it is. I thought that was amazing.
Yeah, it is what it is. I don't think we have to say, you don't have to spell that out. It's basically been spelled out throughout the movie. Like, he's jealous of the Penguin because the Penguin is this genuine freak, and Batman, in his like morose sense of reality, like wants to be that freak that also protects the city or something. But yeah, so instead of having to dress up like a bat, like I guess he wants his ears to really like point and poke out of his head.
I really think he does. I mean, I think in this version, in Burton's version, like that's how he sees himself. Like he sees himself as this grotesque bat-like figure that his childhood trauma has transformed him into, because that's really obviously goes back to that.
Like he literally at one point has the fake bat wings where like he's hang gliding through the city or whatever. It has that shot of him, like his silhouette, like he raises up his arms and then he's got like the wings that extend like actual bat wings. Like he wants to freaking be a bat. Like he could be like, I guess he has like some sort of like vampire envy or something. Like I wish I was the Max Shrek from Nosferatu.
Yes, it's amazing.
That's why he hates Max so much too, I guess.
Yes.
I wish my name was Max Shrek. I could turn into a bat and bite people on the neck. Turn them into vampires.
All three of these characters have really been informed by their trauma. Like, they were all like, Batman's been orphaned violently, and he's turned into this bat to fight against that trauma, right? And Catwoman has turned into...
Catwoman's been licked by 20 cats, which is traumatic enough.
Well, she's been murdered. She's got all the other issues, so she's fighting against that. Penguin was thrown into the sewer as a child, right? So in a way, the three of them have all been informed by their trauma, and they're sympathetic because of that. There are these three like freaks, so to speak, and they're sympathetic. But Max Shrek, he's just an evil person. He's a human being who has freely chosen to act this way. Whereas the three of them, it's like they've been set on this course by fate. But he's just an a-hole, and now he finally gets his comeuppance because Penguin gets knocked down into the water. He's down there. Batman goes. Who is in there but Catwoman, whose suit by this point, which again, I think this makes her sympathetic. You know, she's not like Batman with all these resources. Like, her suit is getting damaged throughout the film and she can't really repair it. So it's just down to shreds. And she's down there with Max and she's just ready to, this is it. She can finally murder him and kill him. And then who shows up but Batman to try to stop her? He doesn't want her to totally lose herself in this moment.
We're the same, Selena. Split down the middle. That's so good.
Split down the center, actually, Jordan.
I'm sorry, Mr. 18-hour special edition. No, yeah, that was a great moment. Like, again, a lot of heart, a lot of emotion and depth to, their relationship, and it's not just bad guy versus good guy, that kind of thing. So I really appreciated that moment where he rips off his cowl and reveals his face, and
which again adds more layers there, because it's like, which thing is he aspiring to be now? Does he want to just try to be Bruce and her just be Selena?
I think that's what he's saying, yeah. Or he's just kind of he's just like opening himself up bare, like, look, I'm just like you. Like, maybe if I do this, then you'll kind of like, we can stop fighting here. I guess that's how I took it. It's like, all right, let's not fight anymore as Batman and Catwoman, but let's just be our screwed up selves together, kind of thing.
And it's just a really vulnerable moment again that Keaton just sells perfectly. And he wants them to bring Shrek to the police so that the authorities can deal with him, to which he says, don't be naive, the law doesn't apply to people like him or us. Which again I thought was really interesting.
Which is true. Yeah. I mean, she's got a point.
Yeah. Ends up being they're not exactly the same, because Batman does have a certain code of law that Catwoman doesn't. But they are the same at the same time. Man, it's just so good. I'm too into the movie right now. It's playing in front of my eyes, man.
What's funny is, like, even though you have Batman and Catwoman, like, what they don't really have superpowers per se, because she's got a whip and he's got some gadgets. But, how interesting is it for Max Shrek, as he's being pulled up out of the water, he grabs a gun and in a way becomes more powerful than both of them there, because he could just shoot both of them and take them out, which he does try to do. But then I guess her superpower is being a cat with 9 lives, because she says, you've killed me once and I've died a couple other times, but I've still got lives left. So like he's shooting her, taking away her lives, and then he runs out of bullets is the only way that he is stopped, because he runs out of bullets. And then she's able to grab an electric wire and kiss him while they're have the wire between them and just shock each other to death, or supposedly her death, but he's definitely a fried walking in that point.
Yeah, man, she takes, again, in great continuity here, where whenever Batman took out the guy who was holding her against the wall early in the movie, where he does the thing with the grappling hook, the guy had a taser, and she takes the taser from the guy's body on the ground, assuming that his skull is crushed from Batman hitting him in the head with, the concrete wall. But she takes this taser, and she's had it the whole movie. It's Chekhov's taser, and it comes out, and she puts it between her lips and Max's lips.
Oh, right. I had it wrong, right? I said it was the electrical wire, but she grabs the electrical wire right as she tases him, and that like ups the ante of the voltage.
That's
I guess.
It. You got it, man. That's it. The taser is the catalyst.
Chekhov's taser.
Yes, Chekhov's taser.
Just like Chekhov's bear trap from Ravenous.
Right. Exactly, just like Ravenous.
Or Chekhov's Chekhov from Star Trek.
That's right. Chekhov coming back again. And I love how Batman runs to the spot where this happened, because all this debris has fallen and more things have exploded, because, lots of things have exploded here. All the Penguins' rockets went off at the zoo, and there's been awesome explosions aplenty. But I love how he goes up and he pulls the debris away, and Max is there and he's dead, right? He's totally fried. It's a cool, gnarly looking corpse with his hair, like we talked about before, just blown out and amazing. And he just does not care about Shrek's dead body. He's like, what happened to Selina?
He's like, yeah, right.
Which
doesn't Batman seem a little inept in this climax to you? Like, he tries to stop her. He can't. He gets like crushed under some falling debris, I think. And then it's too late.
Max shoots him.
Oh, right. Yeah. Oh, that's true. Yeah. He gets shot. So you think like, okay, he's taken out. And then does he get crushed under debris, or am I just making that up?
He gets,
or he just comes back to life after he gets after he gets shot,
because he gets shot and he goes back, and you can't tell, either it hit him in the arm or it grazed his face, but whatever it is, that's what takes him out of the scene. And he also, he's totally overcome with emotion too. Like, he's thinking with his bat heart instead of his bat brain, which is why he's not at his full capabilities here.
Or thinking with his bat
semi-heart.
His bat semi-heart, yeah. His bat member.
Yes, and the Penguin is dying at this point. He's got that black goo that's been coming out of his mouth periodically through the film, is now pouring out of his mouth. It's extremely gruesome. He's dying. He comes up out of the water.
Yeah, he's definitely gnarly with that black blood coming out of his face.
Yes, he walks over to that gnarly rack of his umbrellas, and he's stumbling. He's clearly about to die. He grabs one blindly, and he opens it up and then says, "Shit, I picked a cute one." Then he says, "The heat's getting to me. I'll murder you momentarily." And then he falls backwards dead. And that's it.
That's pretty great.
He's done. And then the Penguins come and they drag him into the water. They pull him out of the water at the beginning of the movie. So it's poetic that they drag him back and bury him in the water. Oh, yeah. It's very tragic, sad, incredible Danny Elfman music. And I love the shot of Batman where there's all these obstructions between him and what's going on, where he's like just a total outsider again. It's like he wishes he was this freak. He sees himself as this freak, but he's just safely in the distance watching the Penguin's burial. And then we cut to the final scene. He's in the back seat. He's very sad. He's all beat up. He's got his coat on. Alfred, who we haven't even really talked about, he's amazing.
Oh, yeah, Alfred.
Michael Go's really good. He's got a lot of really clever lines we haven't even touched upon. He's wonderful. He's driving the car.
He's pretty great.
Bruce sees a cat, the Catwoman silhouette against the wall, makes Alfred stop, gets out and runs. She's not there. There's a real cat there, which he takes and adopts and brings back to the car. And very sadly sits back down, and then Alfred says, "Well, come what may. Merry Christmas, Mr. Wayne. This is a Christmas movie. Batman Returns is a Christmas movie."
Merry Christmas. And goodwill to men and women. I love it.
Again, a lot of depth there when he says, "Merry Christmas, Alfred, goodwill toward men and women, because what does he see himself as at this point? He really wishes he was not a man. He wishes he was this bat thing, right? And he's just fought two other people who were in similar states, where one of them really kind of was a human penguin, not really a human. So when he says goodwill toward men, it's like, what is he not considering himself among that? Or does he consider himself among that now? Or is he specifically thinking of penguin or not of penguin? And then he says, and women, so he's obviously thinking of Selena. But I thought that was like a really deep line to end the film with. I'm a Batman Returns fanboy, man. Whatever. I'm sure a lot of people are like, whatever, Nick, that's a bunch of garbage. Just talking out of your butt, buddy.
What if that was someone else's cat and they just dropped it there and he's like, hey, that's a Selena cat. And then they're like, hey, no, that's my cat. What are you doing? You stole my cat. I guess that would have been a different kind of ending there. But I thought it was a cool ending, the shadow of Catwoman, and he finds the cat and he takes it home. And yeah, the whole Merry Christmas, goodwill toward men. See, I just took it face value, like it's goodwill towards men. That's what you say, or that's like a very, birth of Christ kind of thing. But then he throws in the women. So yeah, he's obviously thinking about Selena. It's very tragic. It's very sad. But hey, maybe she's out there. Maybe they're setting up like an alternate reality. We have like a Batman 3. We don't jump to Val Kilmer and Schumacher. We have another Burton Batman, and we continue this crazy, very screwed up relationship between Keaton and Pfeiffer. Wouldn't you just eat your heart out with that, Nick? I know you would have loved it.
Well, I like, they spent a lot of money getting a final shot added into the film, where after that, as the car is driving away, the camera pans up through this incredible Gotham cityscape that's just so surrealistic. And then we get to a rooftop and the bat signal shines in the sky, which, it's like, well, damn, he just went through all that and now he's got to go fight some more crime. But then his head pops up, but Catwoman with one line left. That's the last shot of the film.
Which makes it feel like they were setting this up for another movie with Catwoman, right?
Well, what Burton basically says is it felt wrong for her to be dead when it was over. It wasn't that they wanted to do something else with her later. It was just that like he wanted to explicitly say like she is still alive, like she's still out there.
Well, I got it. I mean, in a way, that that's true because you see her shadow. And there's this kind of ethereal, like, spiritual level of that, too, with, like, the cat appearing. Maybe she's turned into a cat just like Batman wants to turn into a bat. You've got some more vampiric stuff going on.
Yeah, that's what I thought when I was a kid, man. Yeah, I feel that.
Like she turned into a cat?
Yeah. I really do think that the only reason that they really put that last shot in is they thought, you know what, this whole movie we haven't thought about the children watching this at all. We've really treated them like they're jaded older people. But, let's show the kids that she is still alive. I feel like that's the one concession.
Just for the kids,
children.
Yeah. Oh, by the way, children, if you're still there in this movie, if you've made it through and you haven't been scarred for life, here's Catwoman. She's still alive. All right.
Yes, so that's it. That's Batman Returns. You get the awesome score. You get the Sushi and the Banshees face to face, what a bold choice for your musical act when 1989's Batman had like one of the best-selling artists of all time, Prince, as the main musical act during and at the end of the movie. That you use Sushi and the Banshees.
Did you say sushi?
What do you say? How do you
Susie?
say it? Susie? There you go.
Susie.
Well, I don't know how
Sushi
to pronounce
and
anything, man. I grew up in Poicapee Parish, Louisiana. Nobody told me how to pronounce anything.
I mean, sushi, cats, Catwoman. It makes sense, I guess.
I just found it at the library and was like, this looks cool, but that's the musical act, and it's a cool song, really gets the Catwoman vibe. There was a video at the time where the singer was dressed in black leather like Catwoman, and I remember that well as an 11-year-old, too. So anyway, that's it. Yeah. That's Batman Returns.
Somebody just donated like 1 million Susie and the Banshees CDs to the library, and I took them all. So I've been listening to a lot of Susie and the Banshees, actually.
I just need to in your defense, I think this was in a bonus episode, which, we have a Patreon. If you enjoyed this, man, get on our Patreon. You got to hear these bonus episodes. But you said Sade's name wrong. You said Sade, and I made fun of you so bad. So that's poetic justice right true. There. That's
sushi at the Banshees.
Sushi.
For sure.
Right.
For sure.
Yes, I'm turning 40 in 6 days, and I thought it was sushi still. So.
Yep. Well, you said you give this a 10 out of 10. Wow, that is high praise from Nick. On the other hand, I enjoy this. I'm not quite as high on it as you, and I know I'm going to suffer your wrath for this, but, initially I gave this a 3.5 out of 5. So strong, but, it didn't quite hit all those sweet spots for me like it obviously did for you. But, yeah, definitely glad I rewatched this and didn't remember all the crazy stuff in this movie. I think I was just still hung up on that. Didn't quite get to that deeper layer of the film yet. I was still back there with Penguin squirming on the bed saying, "You're the pussy I've been looking for." With Catwoman. I was just like, I couldn't get past that. And the semi-hards. I guess you could say the 3.5, you could say I was semi-hard for this movie.
Oh, dear, Jordan.
Oh,
I'm glad. I like the continuity with you in that phrase, though. You know what's crazy? Or maybe not so crazy, but this movie was made in 1991 and 1992, whenever it was released. And watching the extras, man, a lot of women made this movie. Of the crew that are shown throughout the making of Featurette, I'd say 70% were women. And then the producer of this film was Denise Denovi, a female producer who did a lot of hard work on this film. So that's interesting. Very interesting, I think.
I think they were all there just to look at Michael Keaton's mouth. This is one thing I noticed. He must have been in the bat suit for too long or something. He can't move his neck. All he's got to act with really is his eyes, which I never realized, like the skin around his eyes are painted black because, the holes in the cowl are a little bit bigger than the actual eyes. But then his mouth is constantly pursed. Like and even when he's not in the bat suit, when he's just playing as Bruce Wayne, he's got like this weird thing he does with his mouth where it looks like he's just puckering up for Catwoman the whole movie.
My wife told me we've been married for 15 years in a week, and she explained to me while we were watching, I think, The Dark Knight in the theater, she said, the reason that I like this movie is mostly for Christian Bale's mouth. That's not her exact words. But she basically explained to me that the main thing about a Batman is that he has to have really nice lips, because that's the main thing you see with the costume is his lips are the most prominent thing. And I was like, interesting.
Christian Bale, now that you mention it, I feel like Christian Bale almost does the same thing. Like he has this weird puckering of the lips, at least in the Batman movies, maybe other times too. But yeah, he's got this kind of like awkward pose of his lips pursed or something. I don't know. Maybe I've just had too much catnip.
I don't know, man. Or maybe it's that we've been talking for 4 hours now.
For sure.
Could be it. Well, look, movie connection time. I never do that. And then I scramble at the last minute. If you haven't done it, I don't know if you did it.
I've got one, but not for our previous movie.
Okay, shoot. What you got?
I could connect this to Buffy when we covered Buffy, because we've got Paul Rubens playing Penguin's dad here, and he also plays a vampire in Buffy. And like we said, there's a lot of allusions to vampire imagery with the bats and everything that Batman is striving to be here, and the mental illness, all that in play. So yeah, Star Trek 6. I was about to say, what was the movie that we're actually trying to connect this to?
I'm just going to throw out there, if any of our listeners have a connection between Star Trek 6 and Batman Returns, that they're like, you idiots, why did you realize this? Please let us know. Please let us know, and we'll recognize you in some way, because I don't have a connection. I just don't have one.
Shatner's identity, like him fighting himself, there's some identity stuff going on there. And here you've got lots of Batman wrestling with his two sides, Catwoman wrestling with the two sides. I mean, Christian Slater is hot, and Catwoman, I mean, he would have made a great Catwoman. right?
And on that note,
Oh, yeah.
I think it's time for our trivia battle.
Hold it! Pop quiz, hot shot.
Did I say that? It's the narcotics, man. Darn you, vasectomy.
No, you and Christian Slater can never have children together.
I know, right? Should have thought that one through.
Oh, man. Well, Jordan, even though I took the punishment movie, my questions I think you'll find are a little kinder than the Walter Koenig questions from last episode. I think you'd say more than a little kinder, but I've heard that your questions aren't kind at all. What you got going on?
Hold on just a second, because I've got to get somebody to at least hear this who helped me out. I'm just going to leave you in the suspense for a moment. My wife says, "You haven't even taken any narcotics. You're a liar." Which is true. I've just been playing up the narcotic bit. I didn't take any narcotics. I'm just suffering through the pain. That's my edge. She says, "You're like one of those kids in middle school who pretends they drink and smoke." She said, "Let me get your peas," which I have a frozen bag of peas to nurture myself with.
Nice.
Yeah. Yep. All right. So you ready for us to start? All right. She's ready. All right. So moving on to our trivia battle. So like I told you, I had to bring in some help for this one because you've beat me so bad so many times, made me suffer. So I don't think this is as bad as you giving me all the Walter Koenig questions. But so I've brought my wife in here, and she's helped me with this trivia battle. So I've told you on the bonus episodes, we've been getting into a lot of the 90s rom-coms. That's where we've kind of shared some mutual interest lately and really connected over these 90s rom-coms. So what I had her do was write all the questions this time, and they're all based on different rom-coms or rom-coms in general, Christmas. All these questions written by her, all these have some sort of rom-com aspect to them. So I hope you enjoy, because I know you're such a huge fan of rom-coms in general, right, Nick?
This genre is my weak spot. Not weak spot as in I love watching them. Weak spot in this, I've seen like 6 rom-coms in my whole life, so I'm in trouble.
You are in trouble. Who do you want to go first?
You go first.
Okay. All right.
Is Karis right there?
Karis cannot hear you, but she can hear me. She's in the kitchen.
Okay. All right. I won't say hey Karis then, since she can't hear me. I'll say hey Karis
right.
in spirit.
All right. Nick does say hey, Karis. She says hello.
Okay. That was kind of audible. All right.
This is my first question, or her first question. And I'll give you the easy one up top, because that's like maybe you'll be able to get it.
Okay.
Because I know you've seen this movie. At least you've seen this rom-com from the 90s. 1999's 10 Things I Hate About You. What is the name of main character Kat Stratford's favorite band? Is it A, Veruca Salt, B, The Electrocutes, C, Letters to Cleo, or D, The Bangles?
Letters to Cleo.
You got it. He got it. Letters to Cleo. I figured you would get that one. Do you have a firm memory of Letters to Cleo from that movie?
I like that movie a lot, and my wife had the soundtrack to it, and I remember Letters to Cleo was on there.
Gotcha.
Jordan,
Okay.
if I beat you this time, I'm going to cry. I only wrote 3 questions just assuming I wouldn't have to ask more. So.
Okay. Let's see what you got.
All my questions are Batman related. And
Of
why
course.
Batman related, I mean, all my questions are based on Joel Schumacher Batman movies that were made in the 90s.
Nice.
All right, here we go. Question 1. Who starred in Batman and Robin as Miss B. Haven, who, as Wikipedia describes, is Mr. Freeze's sexy assistant who flirts with him constantly? He is unresponsive, as he is still in love with his wife. All right, Jordan, this is a layup. Which of these 4? Was it A, Vivica A. Fox, B, Keith David, C, Arnold Schwarzenegger, D, your sweet mother, Jordan?
Vivica A. Fox.
That is correct. Great job.
All right. Next question from Karis. In 1993's Sleepless in Seattle, Tom Hanks' on-screen son, Jonah, was rarely seen without his stuffed bear. What was the name of Jonah's ursid companion? Was it A, Harold, B, Howard, C, Hugo, or D, Humphrey?
I have no idea. It feels like either Harold or Humphrey. I'm just going to say Harold.
No, my friend, it was Howard.
Howard, see, I had no idea.
I have no idea.
I've never watched that movie. I could care less. I know it's a huge movie for a lot of people, but never watched it.
I never watched it. I mean, I saw bits and pieces of it, but we actually watched it the other night. And, compared to You've Got Mail, the other Meg Ryan, Tom Hanks, directed by, what's her face? Nora Ephron. Thank you. I liked it a lot better. I thought it was, it was unrealistic, but it was sweet, and I enjoyed it. So,
cool deal. All right, you ready for my next question?
I'm ready.
All right. In Batman Forever, who played Sugar? Again, according to Wikipedia, as Two-Face's good blonde assistant who wears a white corset bodysuit and shows more of a sweet attitude. Was it A, Drew Barrymore, B, Keith David, C, January Jones, D, Heather Graham?
It was Drew Barrymore.
That's correct.
All right. I'm just killing it.
If you miss my next question, I'm going to give you a second vasectomy.
Is that possible? Okay. So, which of, I don't know. Let me ask the author of this. If I'm about to win, should I skip towards the last question?
Just ask me the hardest one you have.
Ask you the hardest one? Wait, what'd you say, babe? You want me to do all the questions? Okay. Well, I'm gonna do. Speaking of You've Got Mail, I'm gonna give you a You've Got Mail question because I know you haven't seen this movie, so that's how big of an a-hole I'm gonna be. So Tom Hanks fell in love with his online pal Shop Girl in You've Got Mail. Don't cry, Shop Girl. Don't cry. But what screen name did he use to communicate with her? Was it A, NY154, B, NY245, C, NY152, or D, NY248?
Whatever B was.
B, NY245?
Yeah.
No, it was C, NY152. Come on,
Oh,
Nick.
Man.
Come on, Nick.
Can't believe I didn't know that. All right, my next question. Ready for this?
Yeah.
This is my only other question I wrote, so. What is Alicia Silverstone's Batgirl character's real name in Batman and Robin? Is it A, Barbara Wilson, B, Keith David, C, Felicia Wrong Answer, D, Teresa McBatgirl?
All those are pretty tempting. I'm not sure what it could be. Maybe A, Barbara Wilson?
That's right. You win, Jordan.
Oh, total guess. I don't know. I don't know how I got that one. You want to hear the fifth question, the last question she wrote for you?
Yeah, shoot.
This possibly the hardest one. Definitely not related to a 90s rom-com, but can you tell me, this is just going to really test your true knowledge here. Which of these titles is not the name of a Hallmark Christmas movie? Would it be A, The 12 Dogs of Christmas, B, The 9 Kittens of Christmas, C, One Royal Holiday, or D, none of the above?
D.
D, none of the above?
Yeah.
No, all those are real except for The 12 Dogs of Christmas, which is a movie, but not a Hallmark Christmas movie. So,
Wait,
bit
was
of a
that
trick
a trick question?
there.
That's mean. That's all right. That's all right.
This whole thing was mean.
You kind of sullied it at the end there. I thought it was fair until that. But
No.
what am I getting punished with?
It's not fair because, yeah, we know you suck at rom-coms.
Which we'll be covering a patron requested one shortly. Don't worry, Neil and Jets, it's coming soon. But our next episode, I'll say what that is actually first, and then you can tell me the punishment. It's a movie called Airborne. Jordan, have you seen Airborne?
I have not seen Airborne. But apparently men weren't meant to fly, just kids were meant to fly. Because this movie has like 3 terrible taglines on its cover. I guess we'll get into that when we cover this movie.
Okay,
but
Jordan, this is a 1993 film about rollerblading. My brother and I used to watch it constantly. My brother is the patron who requested this. This movie's amazing. At least it was whenever I was a teenager in the early 90s to mid 90s, so maybe it's not. But hopefully it still is. It's got Seth Green at his greatest sidekick vibe. So, and Jack Black, I think it was in
Jack
it too,
Black,
if I remember
yeah,
right.
I think Jack Black's in it, yeah.
Yeah,
I haven't
dude.
seen it. I feel like I've seen clips of it online, but I mean on TV growing up, but it sounds pretty rad. I hope it's still rad. No, that's not a reference to the Punishment movie I'm about to give you, because Nick, growing up, I was not a rollerblader. I was a skateboarder. Guess what skateboarders hate more than anything in the world? Rollerbladers. So yes, I was adamantly against watching anything that was about rollerblading or involved rollerblading. But you know what is a great skateboarding movie that I grew up with that I think you'll find an affinity for in at least one way? That would be 1989's Gleaming the Cube, starring who? Christian Slater.
I love that you figured out how to get another Slayster flick.
I know, we just gotta sneak them in every episode somehow. Hopefully we're not overdoing it for our listeners. But yes, this was a movie that I just loved growing up, and probably what sold me growing up loving Christian Slater. I don't know, this and Pump Up the Volume were just hand in hand, with just thinking how cool Slater is, and he's this awesome skateboarder, and he gets to solve this murder mystery. So it's a murder mystery skateboarder movie, probably the only of its kind. And don't even ask me what Gleaming the Cube actually means, because I'm pretty sure it's just nonsense, like skater talk they made up for the title of the movie. But apparently it's real meaning, according to the director or writer, maybe Slater at one point said it. Oh, I think he says it in the movie that it means going to the edge, like you're gleaming the cube, the edge of the cube, so you're close to the edge. I don't know, but anyway, you're going to be punished, quote unquote, with watching this movie, which also stars Tony Hawk working at a Pizza Hut and being Christian Slater's skateboarding friend. So yeah, you've got that coming to you. Watch Gleaming the Cube from 1989 and watch Airborne from 93. Is it right?
That's correct. Yep. So Airborne will be our main feature, and I've never seen Gleaming the Cube, so this will hopefully be fun.
Hopefully,
it's got the
so.
Slayster, so
It's got the Slayster. If not, it'll just be like probably like a fun, terrible trash look at 1989 culture and skateboard movies that, some studio thought, we need to capitalize on this skateboarding trend.
That's a landmark year in cinema, so we'll see if this is one of the classics from that year or not.
Will it hold up?
Awesome. All right, bud. Well, that was a good time. This was quite a time. Quite a time that we just had. Thank you, Tim Burton and gang.
Yes. Thank you. Thank you, all our listeners, for sticking with us, hopefully. And we'll catch you next time on more Filmshake.
Take it easy.
Face to face, my lovely foe, mouth to mouth, raining heaven's blows, hand on heart, tic-tac-toe, under the stars, naked as we flow, cheek to cheek, the bittersweet, commit your crime. In your deadly time, it's too divine. I want to bet.
Yeah, don't ever watch it, Jordan. So this movie's I lost Jordan. Jordan, you're gone. No. Jordan,
Crap.
come back, Jordan. I've lost you.
Died.
Call.
Riding intertwined, face to face, no telling lies.
Oh no, this was going so well. Jordan, come back. His phone is going straight to voicemail. Should I leave this in, considering the tone of the episode so far? I'm seriously thinking about leaving this in. Let's try calling him again.
But how can you when it's thick